Hello, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about time on target, how you can calculate it, and how we can successfully execute a mission with it without using the time on target computer, even though today we will be flying the F-16. So, what is time on target? Time on target is a way for you to be able to synchronize attacks with a predetermined, we want the bomb or the jet to be at this location at this specific time. This helps with coordinating actions across large areas or affecting the enemy's response by attacking multiple things at once from multiple different places, giving the enemy little time to react or little ability to react to those events. So, in this case, we're going to be doing a runway denial strike on Beslin. Now, this does not have to be a time on target strike. But if we were doing this task in conjunction with other units that would also be attacking Nalchik, Mozdok, or other units that would be attacking up here in the north, over here towards Anapa, then a time on target strike would create the problem of there's an event going on here, an event going on here, and an event going on here, and all of these reports will be coming into command and control all at around the same time, needing them to arrange or respond to all of these incidents within a shorter period of time than if we weren't coordinating our efforts. So in this case, we have done all of the calculations ahead of time, and we're going to walk you through how we do the calculations for doing a time on target strike. There will be a link in the description to the time and distance calculator that I use. It's web-based. There's also other methods that you can use, but it's the easiest way to essentially get a quick result from all of the math that you will have to do in this. And it's not too complicated, but you can easily get the units mixed up. So we have our waypoint system, and our waypoints are set up for our route and our targets. So waypoint 1 is designating home base, and then 2 through 8 is designating our route, with 9 and 10 designating our targets. We have a 2-ship flight today, armed with 2 bunker buster GBU-31s, which we're going to be using to take out the runway. Our objective is to destroy Beslin runway 1028, and it's protected by an SA-2 and an SA-6, along with short-range SPAAA guarding the airbase. What we'll be doing is we'll be using a mountain route to be able to conceal our approach from early warning radar, and thereby also minimizing the ability for the enemy to respond to our ingress. So, doing that, we have planned a route from 2 to 8, and we're going to have to calculate everything from takeoff all the way to landing, takeoff to target, so that we can get the accurate time that it will take to get there. So, what we will have to start doing is starting from Vaziani, we will have to measure from waypoint 1 to waypoint 2, which we get 20 miles. And then we get 2 to 3, which is 16 miles. And then when we get to 3, because we're not going to be flying in a straight line from 3 to 4, we will have to measure with the valley. So that's 4.6 miles plus 8.8 miles. Then we have to also still follow the valley. So from 4, measure up, 3.3 to 5, which is another 3.7 miles. And we keep doing this, and we get all the way up to Beslin, and our total miles in this mission is going to be about 107.5 nautical miles. Now that gives us our total distance on a flat 2D plane. Next, we need to determine our airspeed, because it's not only a combination of distance, it's also how fast do we want to get there. In this case, we'll be flying at around 480 knots ground speed. Now, ground speed is measured by correcting for wind and altitude based on your airspeed indicator. Now, the F-16 has a switch that allows you to read ground speed directly, which we can use, and we will be using in this case. However, there is also a simple conversion for converting ground speed to true airspeed. And true airspeed is calculated by adjusting 2 knots for every 1,000 feet in altitude. And so our altitude is actually going to be fluctuating as we go over this mountain pass. So we're going to be starting at about 1,500. We're going to be going up to almost 6,600 and then coming back down to around 2,000 feet. So if you have an aircraft that has the ability to do true airspeed and you can calculate it based on true or ground speed, then you will use that in order to be able to determine your airspeed. Now, the best way to compensate for possible errors is to have more waypoints. This way you have more frames of reference to determine how fast or how slow you are in reference to your expected time. So in this case, with us using 480 knots ground speed, we then plug that into the calculator and we come out with about 13 minutes, 37 seconds. Now, because we don't immediately start this and we're starting at 480 knots, we're going to have to add some buffer time along with the fact of how many turns that we're doing, because we will slow down, we will speed up, and your speed will not remain an exact constant. With that in mind, we're going to add a minute to that, about a minute, and we're going to set our time to around 14:30 from brakes off. So as soon as I call brakes off, the clock's going to start, and 14 minutes and 30 seconds afterwards, that bomb should be impacting the Beslin runway within plus or minus 10 seconds of that expected target. Now, this is a tight time constriction, and we have done trainings for this before in another squadron that we were in, and we have gotten it to where exactly there were 3 simultaneous attacks going on at Novo, Anapa, and Mozdok, and they all occurred within 30 seconds of each other. Now, this requires a lot of pre-planning, a lot of coordination, and a lot of practice. These guys ran the scenario a couple of times, checked their calculations, and rechecked them, because if you haven't done it before, you will make a few mistakes and you will make a few errors. This does take time, it does take practice to get it, and even setting up this mission for this scenario, me and Dancer have each run this mission 2 times independently in order to run, calculate, and practice our runs, as timings do have to be quite tight when you're doing a time on target. So with that, we're going to be hopping in the sim and we're going to be demonstrating a time on target attack. This can also be replicated with just aircraft that have just an airspeed indicator and a clock. So you do not need a complicated system to keep you on time. You just need a watch, an airspeed indicator, and some math. So with that, we'll get in the mission. Oceanic Tower, Info 1, Flight 2, F-16, taking the active runway 31, departure. Departure time is going to be 0406.
006.
Alright, brake set spool to 85.
And to set the green.
Yep, set, good to go. 5, brakes, 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 release, gates, hack. rotating. You're up.
Right.
Leveling off. Off gates. And going gear to ground. Bringing up GPS and master arm on. On the throttle back to hold 480 ground speed.
Right, compensating for that overshoot here.
Heading to steer point 3.
Altitude. Switching spots.
Slowing the throttles back, coming back to 480.
Altitude.
We're coming up for a left-hand turn. And whip it forward.
Rubber is moved into trail.
Altitude. altitude, 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 altitude,
Pushing to steer point 5. About 20 to 13 seconds ahead.
pull up, altitude, altitude,
Alright, switching to steer point 6. Coming back up to 480.
It's 480. Step 16.
altitude, 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 altitude,
On a full mil.
altitude, altitude,
And TV tower again.
altitude,
Power tower.
altitude, altitude, altitude,
Alright, throttle's coming back to maintain 480. We're a little behind now, making up speed. Maintaining 490 knots. About 10 seconds behind. Switching to steer point 7.
altitude, altitude,
Switching to steer point.
I just gotta follow this valley. 480 knots now. Okay, lights are out. Steer point 7, 1144.
Altitude.
Speed in advance of the turns. And hard right.
Altitude. 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 Altitude.
Back to the left. Just gotta love these S-turn valleys. You pick up the speed a lot. Oh, that's 1144. So okay. Alright, coming back to 480.
Altitude. Altitude.
Okay, switching to steer point 8. So a little bit behind, so I'm going to maintain 495. .07, 3.8.
Altitude.
And
Altitude.
music on. Now at 505. Inbound, waypoint 9.
Inbound.
Slow it down. Just a little bit. Right on time, maintain about 510. And weapons away when indicated. Crash weapons away. Switching to steer point 10. Weapon away. Full burner.
Tap flare.
Right turn back to 8, steer point 8.
Altitude. Altitude.
Move weapons away.
So, I hope this helps you with planning time on target strikes, and I will see you in the next video.